In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Hello. Hi, Chadwick.
Hey, Frank, what's happening? What's happening, listeners? out there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening for them to reply. Interesting. That was far hornier a response than I was anticipating.
Hey, a lot
But
more heavy breathing, too. Jesus.
you know what? I suppose that's a sign of good health, right? Like virility, like
Is that what that means?
we've got a very virile crowd. As I'd like to take credit for that, but I think they're bringing that heat. I think they're bringing that heat. The boys and girls listening along at home.
We want that smoke. Bring
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah. Unless it's from friction, in which case we don't want that smoke.
I'll take a good amount of it.
You got Indian burn it. Can we still say that? Is that a term that's allowed?
I think it's
Indian burn?
Native American burn.
No, that's what we should be doing out here in California. So we no longer have horrific
Indigenous people burn.
wildfires turned suburban fires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, land management. Look into it, people. Anyways, hi. Thanks for hanging out with us. We spend, what would you say, Chadwick? Probably 78% of our podcasting time talking about 80s and 90s cars.
At least, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, for those watching along, Chadwick's background today is a kind of an icon of the 90s. Specifically, it's an NSX. What years was yours? 96?
93.
93.
Yep. So
Okay.
not a T, not a Target. This is the best example I think you could get because no power steering, right? No removable roof, just a fixed coupe. Lovely.
I don't know. 6-speed, having that extra gear though with a 6-speed would be nice.
I don't want to take the weight penalty for the Target top and ABS.
Oh,
Who
fair.
wants ABS, bro?
Abs. Who wants
Get out of here.
abs?
No power steering, also. So
This
kind
is
of
true.
Kind of the purest way to take an NSX, those early models. But yeah, she is still a looker. What a good looking car.
I know. Still iconic.
Still
And
iconic.
the cool thing is, and I feel like we touched on this, I don't know, within the last couple of episodes about how, in the 90s, there were so many options if you wanted a sports car, right?
Right.
Now there's like a half dozen, and some of those you're stretching the definition of sports car.
Sure. Yeah.
Versus in every manufacturer in the 90s had at least one, usually a few different like levels of sports car. We had like the sporty car, and then like the nicer sporty car, and then the sports car, and then the Halo sports car, and then the convertible sports car. That was all part of just a standard lineup. And so, we talk a lot about and people of our age spend a lot of time, reminiscing about the 90s and the 80s and the sports cars within. And obviously, 90s being peak in that. Okay, yeah, there's the icons, right? The NSX, the Supra, the RX-7, the Viper, the end of the C4, the start of the C5 Corvette, and on and on and on.
End of the E30 M3, the last of the air-cooled Porsche 911s.
Started the E39
stuff.
M5
Yep,
and the E34 M5, and there was a lot.
Serious gems, yeah.
And a Miata, like all timer. And there's not that now. But yeah, we talk a lot about those icon cars, right? Those big cars that are now commanding all the money, right? A $200,000 Mark IV Supra is commonplace but silly.
Yeah.
There's plenty of unsung heroes, and we spend, I feel like, probably more time than most in the podcasting sphere. The podosphere, is that a thing?
I think it is now. Yeah, officially.
The podosphere. I fear for the podosphere and its well-being, but we talk more about some of the also rans and the forgotten cars. We're in gallant VR4 country over here, and so
firmly.
Let's just talk about 90s sports cars that aren't those icons, right? Like the not forgottens, but just the stuff that people don't pay nearly as much attention to.
And there's a lot of upside. There's a lot of upside to these cars because first off, they are sports cars. They're still engaging. They're still fun. They're still kind of iconic in their own ways. But to be fair, the prices don't necessarily reflect how good of a car the list we're going to talk about, all the examples of cars we're going to talk about. It just, you can still get them for a decent price, which, like you mentioned, icons at the onset of this episode,
right?
Too pricey. So another plus to this list that we're going to cover today is these are things most people can actually purchase. Now, some of them are definitely going up. I know I got a couple on my list that used to be probably 50% of the current price, right? We'll get into that. But yeah, this is kind of fun, more attainable, unsung heroes, like you said, of the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, one that immediately pops into my mind is, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of starting to come back a little bit, right? But everyone talks about, like, right now, if you wanted to go out and one of your only handful of choices that you could buy in a sports car right now is Miata. There's a GTI, and the GTI is a hot hatch sports car, practical, although almost all of them are four-door. It's four-door only at this point, right? Long dead is the two-door, correct?
Yeah, they don't have a two-door anymore.
Yeah. So even then, that there's no two-door. I like, and I'm leading off because I always forget about the existence of Volkswagen.
I like this.
A Corrado. And I know the Corrado comes up with some regularity here. But that was Volkswagen saying, hey, we have the GTI. What if we make it a little bit sexier, a little bit more sporting, a little bit bigger, and more substantial?
Yeah.
Teutonic. And that's a Corrado. And I think the G60 was kind of a failure ultimately.
Yeah.
Although it was an interesting concept. Imagine if that G60 car was more like the early R53 Mini Cooper S, like with that type of, like, power and supercharged wine and stuff, that would have been lovely. But the VR6 cars are great. They're unique. They're very, very pretty. They didn't really hold up, or they weren't kept up, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of them are hard to find in good shape. But I really, really like those cars. And they're just
SLC, right? That's the one everybody's. But boy,
yes, Salt Lake City.
Those exactly, Salt Lake City edition, extra rust,
SLC Punk.
Yeah, classic. But yeah, the VR6 powered cars are demanding a little bit of a premium. I'm gonna have to say it, man. Like it's been creeping up steadily. But that's the one to get. You get a G60, you're gonna be wrenching on that thing more than you want to.
Unless you swap it.
Yeah, right. You get all the looks, which I think Corrado has, like, the
pretty
design
car.
has aged incredibly well.
Yeah.
Every time I see a Corrado, which is very rare now, I think 10 years ago we saw a bit of them, and that's kind of when they were at the bottom of the depreciation curve, and they were selling for what, 3, 4, 5K for decent examples. And now it just ruins them. Those cars do need a bit of maintenance, even the VR6 version. In the hands of miscreants that don't even recognize the term maintenance. A lot of them saw a premature death for sure. But you see a clean one nowadays, and they were available in exciting colors. You could get a yellow, like I forget the name. God, it looks good, dude. That's a great car.
It's just a really sharp car. Like it just
agreed.
Yeah, I want one.
I would love one too, man. I think those things are great. How about now? These are not obscure cars I'm about to mention. But I got a nod to these cars still being attainable. 3000 GT VR4s and Dodge Stealth RT twin turbos.
Yeah. And the thing with the Stealth, I feel like the Stealth is largely just as cool.
Yeah. Stealthily is cool, some would say.
And like 40% cheaper. Like if you find a really nice one, you get a nice, healthy, it's got the Dodge nameplate discount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which who would have thought the Mitsubishi would like have higher brand cachet than anybody?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I had a Dodge Stealth twin turbo. I can speak to how still quick, modern car quick, all-wheel drive. They're still striking. When I see like a VR4 3000 GT in the wild, I'm still kind of amazed that, like, rather than a Corvette, it's one of the widest, lowest cars that you're going to see out there that's not a supercar. I think they're just the dimensions of the cars. It's very arresting when you pull up behind one. You're like, God damn, that car's like 3 times as wide as it is tall, right? And they just, it's so cool looking. Speaking of substantial, like you mentioned earlier, it's a very substantial car. They are complicated mechanically, and I attribute the lower cost to that as probably the primary factor. Right. But I love them, dude. They're super. They're got lots of interesting features. The climate control, the animated like LCD. Sorry, LED. Good luck. LCD screen.
Yeah, the little.
The interior is like all canted towards you, like a fighter jet. I don't know, man. I even having that stealth. I've always longed after a 3000 GT. I do want to score one eventually and fix it up a bit because I incredibly enjoyed that car. And I think the 3000 GT VR4 earlier ones, the pop-ups, are my favorite looking. And I do want to score a clean one of those someday. But you can either one of those, insane value for performance.
Yeah, and like they sort of, I don't know. I feel conflicted because part of me is like, oh, they have a bad rap for unreliability.
Not really, though. They're just
but like, right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, well, kind of. You just have it's weird. It's almost like I think the same way of a lot of like German stuff.
Fair. Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not that they're unreliable. They just have a lot of care and feeding. And if you don't do the care and feeding and take care of the complicatedness, then they bite you, right? Because it's like,
I don't know. Unlike the German counterparts, though, like the parts are available and affordable. Like I had no problem doing all the maintenance and the extra stuff I did on my Stealth, which is the exact same as the 3000 GT. I didn't find it to be that bad to work on, but there's something about it, man. I mean, you got 300 horsepower plus all-wheel drive. It's just, I don't know, very cool cars, man. And I honestly, bang for the buck. You're hard pressed to find like something, and it's just a matter of time, right? 300 ZX twin turbos took a little while to catch up, and look at them now, right? The VR4 3000 GT, give it another 5 years.
Well, it's funny you say the 300ZX twin turbo, because when I've got on my little mental Rolodex here for this topic is a Z32 300ZX, but an NA.
NA, yep.
NA with a manual.
Even then, clean. It's still fetching some dough, which is great.
There's still some value because it looks. I mean, if you know as far as how to tell them apart, but if you don't, you primarily get the same looks. They're still pretty quick, right? It's 222 horse instead of 300, so it's a penalty, but it's not like it's 160 horsepower, right? It's not like the base Dodge Stealth or 300 3000 GT as compared to the twin turbos, right? It's not bad. But like still a good car.
Yeah,
handles well, looks good. They're well built. Really cool feel, like cockpit like interior.
Same, yeah.
Just good. Get one of T-tops in a good color, and you're well. I mean, you can get a good one certainly for under 10. Right. It might be like you might have to shop for a while, but you'll find one. And it's like still a good. I think those ran like a low 15 quarter mile.
Still a quick car,
fast, but plenty quick, right? I mean
V6 rear wheel drive sports car. I mean, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
stuff.
With a manual, somewhat short wheelbase. I think those are underappreciated. Because it's like a lot of these cars, really any of that stuff, right? Whether it's a Mark IV Supra or 3000 GT or the 300ZX, is like, oh, it's an NA, and now suddenly people aren't interested. I was like, no, it's still a good car. It still looks the part. It's still fun to drive. Parts and mods are available if you want to. Maybe not to make more power. But there's for handling stuff. Yeah.
Great aftermarket companies like Z1 Motorsports. And it's a huge following on that platform, the Z32, for sure. Yeah. But the twin turbos used to be in this conversation probably, I don't know. What do you think? 5-7 years ago? I think the twin turbos pre-COVID in this conversation. But now they're super pricey, but very similar in power. Like honestly, the 3000 GT VR4, 300CX twin turbo drive a lot of the same ways. They're like more of a sporty GT car is how I compare them, having owned both. But I love them both, man. They're and you're right. Like looks department, man, the Z32 looks so good now. It looks so good.
Yeah, no, they don't. It's really interesting stuff. And I want one. I want one of each. And that's the thing. Like I know somebody who picked up early in the year on Bring a Trailer a black Stealth with a red leather interior, twin turbo, a very nice car. I want to say it's like a 70,000 mile example, all buttoned up, and he paid like 17 for it.
Jesus.
And that's on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah, that's wild.
And so, which actually is that's probably the way to buy one of those, right? Because you see one like that, it's going to be on Marketplace. That guy's gas in 28, which is unrealistic.
Yeah.
But so it's probably well bought and well sold. But like, that's a nice, cool, genuinely cool car. I think it was a 90. I think it was 95.
I think I paid $4,000 for mine.
Right.
Mine was, but you go back and look at mine though. Like cosmetically, mine was like a 9 out of 10. It had higher mileage, but really sorted car. I mean, I put a lot of work into it, to be fair.
Sure.
Swapped out the interior and stuff. But yeah, God, black and red. That's a good freaking combo, dude.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's genuinely rad.
Very cool cars. I do have a Toyota on my list that it's well known. I think it's like a good deal still. And there's two variants of this one. The MR2, my friend, the big brother Supra is the icon, the hero. I think MR2s are still kind of under celebrated. And I sure love an AW11 supercharged, and they're getting pricey now, but still, I think if you find one, I think 15 grand could get you a really good example. And then an SW20 turbo around the same price, you can get a pretty decent one. I'm talking a driver. I'm not talking about a show car or collector piece. I'm talking an honest, like, take it out, have some goddamn fun with it like it's supposed to. I find both of those cars to be incredibly good looking, incredibly enjoyable, and pure as you're going to get for sports cars. Mid-engine, affordable mid-engine. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, they were. I've driven a few. I've never had an opportunity to drive one like in anger. Like I've never been able to really push one. I've like putted around in parking lots and done photo shoots with them, but like I've never really gotten to flog one, which is a shame. But they're cool. And even an NA with a manual, it's
still good.
Just I thought about one hard as like a commuter for a long time, and that's kind of what that car was. It was like sporty, fun, sexy, good fuel economy. An NA example, econo car,
reliable,
which doesn't exist anymore. Like that's not a thing anymore.
No, God no.
Which is a shame. I mean, so the sports car also used to be a thing, but hey, affordable sports cars, no, we can't have that. We're just going to have 18 different $1 million+ hyper cars that they only make 99 of in this one particular year. And it's the, whatever the cum shot deluxe special or whatever. Like they put some new bougie thing on it and it sells out before they're actually even in dealer showrooms. But yeah, like I agree. I think those are cool. Yes, the Supras pull all the money. The MR2 is it's a very different cool, but still very cool. Yeah, I got to shoot one that was a 91 turbo, like 80,000 mile car, white over blue cloth, which I thought was like such a cool.
That's pretty cool.
90s color palette, and cloth too.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, they're pretty quick for what they are too. They were never like a big power car. It was more of a lightweight, kind of fun to hoon around car. But I think when I reviewed it, I think the 0 to 60 was like just about the same as the S2000, which is cool. That's a good benchmark to go up against for being an early 90s, car. Yeah, that's still quick. That's still a very quick and fun car. So yeah, dude, and the handling's wild. Snap oversteer, whatever, dude, get over it.
Yeah, it's fine.
You'll be just fine.
That was on like 90s shitty tires. I'm sure they're actually probably better on modern rubber.
Yeah, it's a way more safer experience. But nah, cool cars. I had to give it a shout out because you can still, like I said, anything that's like an iconic-ish sports car for 15 grand, you got to kind of celebrate nowadays with the icons that we mentioned before fetching. Fuck, I don't even know. What's the entry fee right now for like a Mark IV Supra automatic NA?
You can get one.
Be like 50.
Kind of, yeah, like 40s, which is bonkers, unless you get like a JDM one with like questionable history for like
rusted out
30s.
Yeah.
The Integra Type R gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so,
as it should.
And we will occasionally, I've made it known that I would love like a facelifted, so that would be 98 and up. GSR sedan.
Oh,
Still very cool. However, the one that kind of nobody talks about is that second gen Integra. That would be the 90 to 93.
yep.
And a very good looking car, a little lighter, a little smaller, a little more, maybe fleet of foot, but more, the GSRs in those are very rare. The 1.7 VTEC.
Insanely rare, right?
I think they did, because I think it was like 92 and 93 only, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they sold like 2,000 in each year or something like that. So they're pretty hard to come by. But even just like an LS or a GS trim manual, 2-door, are a fun little car, fun tossable little car. I mean, with all the part support in the world.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you just like casually used to see those everywhere, and now you never see a clean stock one just cruising around? You just don't.
Emphasis on clean. They're usually pretty ratted out, the ones I've seen driving around. But you're right. Like compared to the following generation, you just don't see them. Don't see them at all.
Yeah, and they're cool. And
super cool car.
Super cool, well built, similar that same 90s Honda build quality and just switch gear. B series, Honda B series motor. So there's lots of support out there if you want to do something insane and go like K swap or something like that. But you could. I don't know that you need to, but you could.
That'd be pretty wild. Yeah.
It'd be pretty hairy. But just like such a cool, I mean, you can even just do like, spring, like mild suspension stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe wheels if you wanted, and just call it a day.
Oh, you need an intake on it, man.
Jackson Racing. He tried to say supercharger.
Yes.
There's a lot of things. I mean, honestly, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
But just those clean second gen. Get a 2-door in that that teal green. Yeah.
Those things are very sleek.
They are
very wedgy, kind of
yeah.
But very low profile. The whole car. Good looking car. Very striking when you see one, because you really just don't. You just don't see clean ones. I don't think I've ever. God, I want to say it's been a while outside of car shows. I don't think I've ever seen one on the street with matching panels. To tell you the truth, it's one of those cars.
Yeah. Usually it's pretty beat.
Bondo.
Part of it's hella flush. But just like a clean stock one with a manual would be great.
Those in the early Preludes, I want to say 3rd gen Preludes with the pop-up headlights. Yeah. I think those two look so good together. That's a good time in Honda design.
Right. The 4-wheel steering.
Yep. Yeah. Both those cars are very cool. Very, very interesting.
Yes.
So M3, another icon from this time, whether it be E30 or E36. So we like both of them, but E36 all day. Used to be able to say super cheap, underappreciated sports car. Not anymore, my friend. You're paying $20,000 for a fucking E36, which is it's a good car. I don't hate them. I like them. I've spent some time in them. I like them a lot. But there's 2 other cars out there that are, God, I would say just almost equal to these as counterparts. I think the 325i as an E30 or a much cheaper E36 can be a load of fun for nearly a quarter of the price, if not. Well, E30 M3 definitely would. 325i can be for quite a bit cheaper. But I'm just saying, like even the E36 is a huge discount over an E36 M3, and you're still getting an inline 6. You're still getting a wonderful sports car chassis and like 90% of the looks, because the E36 wasn't set apart that much from the base model. Yeah, man. What do you think? 325i?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's funny is I'm willing to bet that an E36 M3 with an automatic will sell for more money than an equal condition, equal mileage 325 or 328 with a manual. And 100%. I would
100%.
Unless there's some random specific I commute stop and go traffic up a hill both ways, 80 miles a day, I would much rather have the lower power car with the manual transmission.
Yeah, maybe M3 in that scenario isn't your first choice, but yeah, I understand. Yeah,
what I'm saying is I would rather have the lower power car with the manual than the higher power car with the auto.
100%. And I'm with you too. I should have mentioned 328 because the 328, and you can still
96.
Yep, you can get that one. But the 325 ISs in the early E36s were cool too, a little spicier than the base model. So I don't know, man. I think that still pulls that's a lot of car to pull at that price point they're going for. Mm-hmm. I think the same conversation we just had about the early Integras comes up again, though. These things were beat upon, and it's sad the condition you find some of these non M3 E36s and even M3s you find in shit condition because they were cheap once. But my friend, I would get into one of those, and I have this weird fucking thing, Frank, and you know this.
Have you had a doctor look at it?
I mean, it's definitely spreading, but just like them cheeks. Seriously, bro, like 318 Ti. I don't know why.
Oh yes,
dude, I don't.
Talk about a car that you cannot find clean stock.
Absolutely,
you cannot find a clean one with a manual. The only clean ones left are autos.
And they had the M Technic package, I think you get with some of them. So it had like some of the M bits and
right.
Dude, I just want one of those so bad. I want it so bad, dude. But they are cheap when you
got to find. Yeah. Well, maybe
like $6,000, $7,000. And yeah, they're fucking 240,000 miles and ratted out. But still, there's something about it. I just kind of want the shorter. I think it has a shorter wheelbase than an E36. So
is it? I
think it is.
You might be right.
I think it is.
I think it's a little shorter wheelbase, and if I remember correctly, the rear suspension is different. Like it's the same.
It's archaic compared.
Well, yeah, because it's the same. It's the same rear suspension and everything out of the Z3, which is carryover from the E30. So it's that older semi-trailing arm style, little lively.
I like them though because they're kind of like a mini hatch. It's.
Oh, they're very cool.
Yeah. Had to get that out there, dude. Had to put it in the ether.
Oh shit. As I was doing, I was like, I wonder if there's anything on Marketplace now, and I pop one up.
Don't do it.
95 318 with a manual, 155,000 miles, blue over gray, completely stock. Rear bumper might need some paint. There's a tear in the rear seat bottom, but otherwise looks pretty clean. Guess what they're asking?
5,800.
5,500.
Do I look at Marketplace, my friend?
Yes. Yes.
That's very compelling.
That sounds
fucking compelling, dude.
Very interesting. No.
Looks unfinished project
around the house. If it's still there in 3 weeks, then it's just like, oh shit, I wonder if it'll take like 45, right? Get that for like under 5.
Fuck, dude.
Eek. Oh boy.
Sorry about that one, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Hold on. Let me hit the little save button. Saved. Okay.
Yep. That happens.
Okay. Oh, here's one for $4,000. Oh god. It's an auto. It's an auto. Okay. That's what's funny is like we've segued into. I was gonna say Z3, and I know we've talked about the Z3 a lot before. But Z3 is great. If you want to go Z3M. Still great, very far more affordable than a clown shoe or an E30 or E36 M3. And I would argue it might not be as like sexy as an E36 M3, but like stock to stock, car to car, it's going to be 50% less. And I would argue probably more fun. Top down, rear end's a little bit more lively. It might be a little bit less of a GT car just because of what it is and a shorter wheelbase. It's like, it's a little dartier. But you can use that to your advantage too, depending on what you're doing with it. So I think those cars are still pretty underutilized in M form or in non-M form, right? You get a 2.5 with a manual. You get a 2.8 or a 3.0 with a manual.
I'll take a 1.9, whatever. That's like the most analog to a Miata that BMW ever made. How about the only thing that makes them expensive is when you get like an S54 powered later one. But That's such a cool car. Like I drove one for a
Yes.
little bit. Actually rented one down in Monterey, which was a blast on some mountain roads. But it had a 5-speed
Mhm.
manual, which is weird coming out of. I had an E46 M3 with that motor,
Yeah.
6-speed. So
I've lost a gear.
totally changed the whole like the feeling of the car. But man, what a car! But you're right. For price, you want to stay away from that one. That one's very much a premium fetching car. The Z3 all day over a Z4 looks better. I'm sorry. It's just not a comparison. And I don't know what it is. And excuse me, I'm not really a through and through BMW guy, but they came in this teal color on the Z3s. And I forget. God, that's a pretty color, dude. That is
Yeah.
such a pretty fucking color.
Yes. Like, are you talking like God, what did they call that? They
Not
call it
the
a
one-
green,
not
like the
the one-
pistachio one.
Yes. No,
It's not pistachio. It's more of a green, but
it's true. Yeah, it's more of a true teal. There's that common like light blue, like the James Bond version.
right.
I think was that color, and like the launch one was that color. But there's like this unbelievable turquoise that's just it's striking, and you can get a
Turquoise is the right. Yeah, it's the right. They called that. Oh, I found it. God, tell me.
I almost bought one
Researching
for like
on the
$6,000
fly.
a few years ago too. I should have pulled the trigger on that car
That's
actually.
not what it is. Why is it put? Damn it! I click a link and it's like dropping into like some like Forza fan page. Just like, I think it's called Evergreen. Let me look it up.
Yep, that sounds very familiar.
Evergreen. Yeah, that's it.
And
Evergreen.
you could get a weird interior where it was like a combination of black and that color.
Yes. I think you could only get that on either a black exterior or the evergreen exterior, but how sick would it get that interior with like Imola or something just bananas?
Dude, yes, absolutely nuts, dude. Orange would look good. Very Volvo-esque, if you will.
If I didn't have it, like if I didn't have it, an S2000 that I won't be getting rid of.
Z3.
Z3. I had my Z3 25 that I got for $2,000 that I had for summer and then sold, and it was a brilliant little car.
I want one of the M. I want one of the M variants with the S52.
S52. Yeah, that's the one to buy.
I have one saved
with some miles.
now. Yeah,
like 150,000.
I have a higher mileage one saved right now, and they're only asking 10. And it's like so much car, dude. It's so much. It's silver with the black interior, which I think is like at that period, BMWs look just is the color.
It does look good.
It's the color of BMWs of this period in my head, whether it be an M5, an E36, whatever. That's what I picture. It works. I want a fun color, but for that money and an M version that's been maintained, I think that's a good deal for 10K. That's a lot of car, my friend.
Z3M. See, now I'm looking up Z3Ms all of a sudden. Yeah. Oh, well, there's a coupe. Okay, look. Here's an example, right? 99 Z3M coupe. Okay. In slow. It's got a sunroof. It's a manual. It's like the headlamps are kind of faded. It's got a little scuff. It looks decent, but it's not great. And they're asking 27.5. Center caps are missing. One center cap is missing. It's a crack in the front bumper. It's a deeply mid car. And they want 27.5.
Jesus, dude.
Right? Directly next to it, 83,000 mile Z3M Roadster. This is a 2002. So it has an S54, and they want $5,500 less. That's a nicer car, and it's got an S50. They want 50. They're asking 22.
Whole different league of performance too. Yeah.
And so just because it's not like the clown shoe, and guess what? You want a cheap clown shoe, buy a Crossfire. But just like the convertible, because it's a Z3.
Sure.
And not a clown shoe.
And I mean, you and I both love the clown shoes. Don't get me wrong. And I know dynamically the clown shoe offers some structural rigidity and some other things. They do look great, and they do stick out. But boy, the Z3 M Roadsters, they do look good, and they do look the rear end especially. It looks a little wider. The 4 exhaust tips. I think there's something very striking about how that looks. And I'm a sucker for a good convertible experience. So
yeah, for sure. You know, it's if I lived in Buffalo, I probably wouldn't be a fan of the convertible experience. But good news for a lot of different reasons. I don't live in Buffalo. Patrick Mahomes can suck it. But give me a good convertible Z3M. God, do you remember convertibles? Do you remember when there used to be convertibles?
I do.
Good old 90s.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Like
Affordable.
every manufacturer
40
probably made a
convertibles.
convertible.
Yeah. Some that shouldn't have Nissan Murano.
Well, sure. But I mean, in the 90s proper,
Chrysler PT Cruiser.
I'm trying to think of a manufacturer that didn't make a convertible.
You know what? I already
Name
have
one.
notes. I didn't sell it to you, but I think next week we should talk about convertibles.
Oh, top down screaming out, money,
Yeah,
anything.
sure.
We should. We should.
I've got one more I want to mention before we get out of here.
Oh, what do you got?
Maybe you're a little bit of a snob. You need a
I
Porsche
am.
badge in your life. And the Cayman used to be affordable. They're not affordable anymore. Holy shit, where did the Caymans go? Cayman S, like even a 9.8, like basic 987.1. Not cheap, mid-20s, no matter what the mileage is. However, Boxsters.
Yeah.
Still
Get a
affordable,
986.
dude.
Get an early 986.
Go get it.
Drive the snot out of it. Spend $7,000. By the way, I've got a line on one if you want. It's got big miles on it for $3,500.
Manual?
Yeah. It's yellow.
How much? What are the amounts and varying types of fluids leaking at any given time?
Fluids, I don't know. I assume none of them are human bodily in nature.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's got like 240K on it.
Oh.
But it's a runner, smogged, $3,500.
Paint shot, interior shredded.
Paint is thinning. Interior, I don't know. I haven't seen the car in person. Someone I know was texting me. It was like,
is it a fun color?
Yellow. It's a factory. It's that like slightly pale yellow color.
Well, yeah, the banana yellow. Yeah,
it's like a paler.
It's like the WRX yellow. Yeah, that you remember that
kind
color?
of. Yeah, not the blaze yellow, but the other one, Sonic yellow.
Yeah,
one of the two.
God
it's
damn
one
it,
of those.
Frank.
I never remember which is which.
Clean title.
I believe so.
Can you just send me the details after?
I'll get the details. I'll get the deets.
Son of a bitch. All right, you go. What did I tell you to go buy? I sent you down a rabbit hole. 318 Ti. Use one of those. I'll get a cheap Boxster. We'll have fun times.
You know what? I honorable mention.
Oh yes.
God, those Ram Air Firebirds from the 90s.
Oh fuck, dude.
They're still so like. So we saw, my kid and I, we saw a convertible. It wasn't a Ram Air car. It was a Formula. So it had like the smaller hood scoop.
Okay. Yeah. The more pointy kind of front end.
Yeah. And so it was like going the opposite direction, just cruising down by my house. My kid was like, what is that? I was like, that is awesome. I was like, that is a cool. I was like, that's called a Pontiac Firebird. And both of those things, Pontiac and Firebird, don't exist anymore. But boy, howdy, is that thing cool.
God.
And so, all that gen was always cooler than the Camaro. You can make arguments, in the IROC in the 80s and that generation and earlier cars.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think almost inarguably those Ram Air, the WS6 specifically with the big old schnoz.
Dude,
just so cool. And they're still super, super cool. And yeah, they're built like garbage. And yeah, they're flexible and shitty, but
God, they're expensive. The WS6 cars have like tripled in price. All day, every day, a clean WS6 was $8,000 back in the day. Manuel, WS6 package. And now, good Lord, I don't think you can get into one under 15. Period. I'm pretty sure you
might be able to, but it's gonna be pretty hogged out.
No, dude, I don't know.
I think the pro move is if you can find a Formula with a manual,
sure, yeah,
it'll be about 50% off.
Yeah,
like you can get a really nice one for like $9,000.
Yeah, because they had some SLP factory options. They had all kinds of cool variants of the Fire. Man, you're right though. They're so cool now. Like at the time I thought they were kind of dumb, but then except for the the WS6 one specifically, it was like, God, those cars are dumb, but fuck, it's cool. Like, but it's do you pick it over a C4 though? I mean, they're kind of swimming in the same same use case.
Boy, I mean, the C4 is the better car.
Yeah,
what is it? I don't know.
I would argue a later C4, yes, and early, not because we're talking 90s edition here. So the C4 is going to be better probably, but 80s C4 probably not. Like early 80s, like 84
4+3 Crossfire injected for 84. No, none of that.
Speaking of C4s, I've been seeing a lot of clean ones in the wild. I don't know if it's because they're getting like popular again. But there was a white one, and my son's like, "Dad, look at that Corvette. I bet it's not a ZR1." And I'm like, "Oh, he's
That a boy.
yeah, but that one's driving around, so he gets
Right. That one's moving under its own power. So yeah,
They do.
hat tip.
I've been seeing them, man. I've been seeing a lot of clean C4s, and when you see a clean C4, you're just like, that just looks right. There's something about that car; it just looks right.
Like, okay, here, like I just found,
Oh,
just really quick on Marketplace, 94 Formula Firebird, right? T-tops,
Manuel,
red, manual.
Mm.
I'm assuming it's a V6 or sorry, it's a V8 because I think all the formulas were V8.
All formulas, yeah.
Yeah. $4,500 and it's pretty freaking clean.
That's
100,000-mile car.
That's ridiculous. You're gonna get stabbed when you go with money in your pocket.
Or they're like, oh, I said it's a formula. It's really a base model with like formula wheels or something, and it's just yeah, and it's actually a V6.
That's how I spell Iron Duke.
Iron Duke. Yeah, I swapped in a Geo Metro G10 3-cylinder. Yeah, but like we can go on. Like there's other stuff that we have. NX 2000. Honestly, the one icon that's still kind of a buy. Well, two. I would say ZR1 are still undervalued. First gen Viper. All day you can get 30s. One for 35.
Yep.
All day. Yep. And
what a wild car.
Just unachievable amounts of cool. Like I will never own one. Not because I can't sell a bunch of jalopies and afford it, because they're still undervalued. I'm not cool enough to pull that car off.
I thought you were going to make a joke about your will to live.
Well, that too. Well, that's having a strong will to live and survive is decidedly uncool.
It's true.
This is why smoking is a thing. This is why wearing a motorcycle helmet is nerdy, right? Like potential suicide just due to your own hubris is historically cool.
Fair, yeah.
So, being like a smoke jumper or having some scary job, very cool. So yeah, I'm too much of a fucking goober, of a dweeb, of a nerd. I'm not nearly cool enough to contemplate committing suicide in my first gen Viper in the rain on 18-year-old tires because I'm running the stock wheels because they're 3 spokes and they're
zero nannies to step in when you fuck up, which you will.
No, you are your own nanny, and if you're Viper owner, you drown those in alcohol and self-loathing a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So yeah, your nannies are dead, and buried. So yes, I want one. You know what? You and me, halves. Do you want to go halvesies on a first gen Viper?
God, dude.
If we each kick in like 15
and get the shittiest version we can get.
Yeah, or just one with miles. Get one like 85,000 miles, which is a lot for a first gen Viper. For a car with no roof or windows, like that's a lot of miles.
So bad, dude. Do not street park that car. I don't think you can.
Why? If it's a dollar store Viper, all right. Next no reserve first gen Viper.
Good Lord.
Auction that we see with some warts. Yeah, we're doing it, baby.
Just as long as you make the comment, I no longer want to live. Let me have this.
Yeah, I'll create a burner account to buy the Viper. That'll be like suicide by Viper.
I better have 20-year-old tiger paws on it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Uniroyal tiger paws. Let's go.
All right, let's do the fucking automotive print ad quiz game. I'm gonna pull up an ad, explain to the kind listeners what we're about to do.
Oh boy, we're about to make some mistakes, and by that I mean continuing to do the podcast and also our print ad quiz game. It is not yet sponsored by Mucho Macho or Ujiz or Nexon Tires or the ghost of the GM Quad 4 engine. So if you're any of those parties, reach out. We'll take your money to sponsor this bit. But the bit is Chadwick's going to get an advertisement from a magazine, print ad from the 80s, 90s to the mid 2000s. He's going to read the typed copy while omitting anything overly identifying. It will be then incumbent upon me within 3 guesses in 10 minutes to guess successfully the make, model, and approximate model year of the particular car that this ad is describing. That's kind of it. Play along at home. I can ask for hints in between guesses if I get them wrong, but I will not. I'm ready. Are you ready?
I hope you guys are, because this is gonna be a good one. So our advertisement is a single page ad with the vehicle 3/4 passenger rear. Vehicle's in a striking red color with a background that's monotone. So it's simply just a black and gray background, but you can make it out as a snowy mountain. So it's a very strong contrast between the vehicle and the mountain. Tagline is adventure has its price, just $299 a month.
Oh, okay.
What are we talking about? No, just kidding.
Land Rover Discovery 2.
Yes, it is. So here we go. Think of it as luxury accommodations with the world's best view. A special blank lease plan, including luxury features. Luxury in the same sentence twice. Good sign. You want at a price you can afford. A new 200 horsepower V6, push button, 4-wheel drive, electronic automatic transmission, air conditioning, power locks and windows, stereo cassette with Seek Scan, and more. Blah, blah, blah. With $1,000 down, it's only $299 a month. When you're in the middle of nowhere, you'll be somewhere very comfortable.
Ooh. That's it? That's all I get?
That's it. You wait. Nah,
all right. No. That's fine. That's fine.
Get out of here.
200 horsepower V6.
Spoiled.
Luxury is every third word. Push button.
10 minutes.
4-wheel drive.
Yep. These are all facts.
And they're advertising a lease deal, which is interesting.
Very interesting, right?
I mean, that feels like desperate American brand circa 1999. So 200 V6. I've got some thoughts. It's not a 3rd gen 4Runner, because that would be 190. It would not be, depending on what year this is, it could be the 2nd gen Ford Explorer, but it doesn't read like that kind of an ad. I've got to guess, and it just I can picture this ad, and it just feels right. You said the vehicle was red?
I did say that.
Okay. I don't picture this vehicle in red, though. It's a problem. It's not a red vehicle. But I'm gonna go with it anyways.
Okay.
Is this an let's say 1998 Acura SLX? Final answer?
I love where your mind's at. This is not the Isuzu Trooper you're referring to.
Right. And I don't know if that was 200 horsepower, that 3.5. That was a 3.5, right?
Oh, yeah.
V6.
Because that was a Gen 2 Trooper. Yeah, you could get that. Was it that much power? Yeah, it was.
I don't know. It feels like it's probably close. Okay. But I wasn't sure about, that might not have been push button 4-wheel drive. So, red V6, still had a cassette, $299, luxury. I don't. Could this be a Mercury Mountaineer? Because I would want to say around the same time period, but I also know around the same time period you had the V8, and the V8 made more power than 200, and I would think they would be singing, because does that 4-liter put out 200 horsepower? I don't know, but I know on that gen you can have a push button. I don't remember what they called it. their whatever something track on the Explorer slash Mercury Mountaineer. So it could be that. Um, 200 horsepower is not going to be Nissan, or it's not a QX4 because that no, it's not a QX4. Horsepower doesn't work there. It doesn't compute. American, this doesn't shoot. Was that Vortec 4.3 200 horsepower? I think it might have been, which would have been that would have been later. So that would have been like 98, 99, which feels right for 299. So then the matter of, because I think those had like a full-time push button for like extra four-wheel drive, this four-wheel drive and the Bravada. And I don't think it's a Rainier. I'm going to say this is a 19. I'm going to stick with the same time frame. Let's say 1998 Oldsmobile Bravada. Final answer, Bob.
I think the Bravada is very cool, but it is not the vehicle
Ah,
today. But you are so fucking close. It hurts, dude.
so it's got to be a stablemate then.
That's a big hint, but yes.
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
It's got.
I got to give it to you.
So is it a Rainier?
Do it. Think about it a little bit.
Golly. Luxury.
The term luxury.
Sure. Let's see. You had the. Oh God, is it? Could this be a Buick Rendezvous? Golly, because I had the 3.4. It was basically a Pontiac Aztec with StabiliTrak. But I don't know that was like God push button four-wheel drive. Like not, I mean, sort of, but not really. Man, I don't know. God, that probably was. Shoot, because I know that you can get that in two motors. There's a big and a small, famously. You know what? I'm just gonna run with it. I'm gonna say this is a God. What year though? I'm gonna say it's an '01 Buick Rendevious with StabiliTrak. I'm not really happy about it, but final answer.
He's not feeling his answer, folks, because he's not right.
That
is El Strico 3.0. My friend, you were so close with the Bravado because this vehicle is a little bigger. But
is it a Tahoe?
It's a Blazer, the regular
ass Blazer,
the 4.3,
the 2-door
91 Blazer, making 200 horsepower.
Oh, it's a 90. It's the earlier. Okay.
Yeah. So 200 horsepower, but 260 pound-feet of torque from that 4.3 V6.
Yeah.
Not the same 4.3 that's in my S10 Blazer. Let me tell you that, which makes, I think, 165 horsepower.
Well, yours is a 94. 94. And so what year is this?
91.
So 91 at 200 out of the V6, out of the 4.3?
That's what it says. We can fact check them.
So it's like an OG.
It's a 4-door Blazer too.
Oh, it's a 4-door. Okay.
Yes.
You sure that's not later? Because I thought the later ones
91.
91. Okay. So that's even got the old school, not that there's a photo of the interior.
It does
Because
not.
I thought it would have. I thought it was like 160, and then later, once it was a Vortec, it went to 200, and I thought that was in like 97 or 98.
No, because mine has a Vortec 4.3 and it makes 165.
Hmm.
They're doing
GM
shenanigans.
GM is up to some shenanigans.
Yes, sir.
Because that's why I was thinking of the later stuff.
No, yeah.
And it was too in my head. It was like too luxurious for the S10 Blazer.
Yeah, push
and then
button
the later.
four-wheel drive I don't think that existed with the older or the newer ones, right? It was like a.
No, it's on the dash.
Is it
It's
still? Okay.
Yeah, that's like how
They've always had that. They've always had that.
Yeah, where it's like 224 auto.
Yes, sir. 200
Blazer.
and for $299 a month, which is pretty damn cheap.
Yeah, $299. Well, $299 a month I felt like was a lot of money. And
yeah, I guess what was really confusing about this ad.
Can you send me a link to the ad somehow?
It's actually on another. You know what?
It's got to be later.
I don't think so. Maybe
because if 91 is like the removable top full size Blazer. Like not a GMT 400 looking one.
This is it. No, this is the more. I don't know, man. It doesn't look like that old. It's on another laptop, so it'd be very hard to send for you. Look at this. Can you see this angle?
Okay. Yeah, that is an earlier one.
It is an earlier one.
Yeah. But like S10 Blazer.
Yes.
Got it. Not full size Blazer. S10 Blazer.
Not full size. So it'd be the S. But it has 200 horsepower, and it didn't say the torque. I got the torque off the Google Monster.
The torques.
But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think this would have been after mine, I believe. So 95 or 96. I think you're right. I can't the year.
Well, no, because it got right after yours in 95. It went to the roundy ones.
Correct. That's true. So this
would still
or older.
Yeah, you just got jobbed on power, my guy. I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe I'm reading my specs wrong. It feels like, oh, there's the timer. It feels like mine's definitely down on power amongst other things. But
sure.
Yeah, $299 a month, push button, 4-wheel drive.
You know what's funny is just like everyone celebrates that first gen Explorer as like such a game changer. Which it kind of was in its own way. Yeah. But like that Blazer was just right there doing this kind of the whole time.
I want to see what my horsepower is supposed to be because it doesn't feel like 200.
It doesn't feel like 200. It's got to be the same. The old S10 Blazer.
Oh my God, it says it. There's no way it has that much power.
Maybe it needs a little oven.
Fuck out of here. Okay, get out of here.
Be gone, thought.
This thing needs a lot more than that. Okay.
Anywho.
You almost got there. Bravado, very close though. I would say
I mean it's
the same goddamn vehicle.
I mean it is. What's silly is this like the Bravado is the same thing, just badged as luxury. And I know those had like I think there was also the Stabilitrack 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, I think that's the term luxury is getting thrown away way too much.
Right. Yeah.
Conversation.
Yes. Luxury. And it's an S10. Anywho, what have you let's do some project car progress. Have you made any progress, sir, on any projects?
I have. I've had a little chance to wrench, my friend. So my niece has a 2013 Honda Civic LX. It's after they stopped badging them. I had to actually look up the VIN to see exactly what one it was.
Sweet.
So getting the runaround, local tire shop, folks take your cars into these places, they get an oil change. And then of course there's always like, hey, we can do your brakes. Hey, we can do this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I never do that, folks. Because after $1,500, and we're talking about a 2013 Civic LX, which I don't even know how you get to that number with import direct parts from O'Reilly's, but more on that later.
Right.
She comes out of the last time they did the brakes. They did pads and rotors, and I think they might have done fluid. The fluid looked okay. Horrible grinding noise when she was hitting the brakes. So she took it back to them, and they said, "Oh, you need to have both your front calipers replaced." Mind you, she has like 150 something thousand miles on the car, which isn't astronomical. This is a very reliable car, and they can go much more than that. So I don't see calipers fail like that on modern cars very often. That's a pretty rare thing. And the fact they're asking to replace both calipers, on something that didn't make a noise before you brought it in. Super questionable. So she complains a little bit. They fix it. My guess is one of the caliper bolts was loose. And it was probably shifting a little bit under because it was only during braking. If it was a seasoned caliper, it'd be all the time. So that would be my take. So she brought it over just to make sure. You know, when you get that, now you're like fucking like, I don't even know what they did in my car. So I did a full inspection of it, crawled under it. First off, there's this metal noise, like a loose, almost like a heat shield rattle, and almost any speed. There's like a metal plate underneath the tray, underneath the plastic tray. There's like a metal section that was literally hanging on for dear life. It was like on a prayer at this point, where it was like one backed out screw and a tab holding it in. And that thing was violently flapping. I'm like, well, you probably could have lost that. So I find some missing bolts, put that in. Those places are notorious for not putting stuff all the way back together because you save a lot of time putting those shields back on by skipping, things you should.
Just throwing them in a dumpster.
So so that wasn't even the brakes. So I found that got rid of that problem. I go and look at the brakes, dude, like they put so much fucking grease on the pads. Like I don't mind a little bit at the ears, so it doesn't sometimes soak the pad in grease. I'm like, that's cool.
Like and the face of the pad?
Not the contact surface, but the backside.
Everything,
but still, you don't want that because you're going to get a ton of dirt buildup and it can get all kinds of shitty too that way. But you don't
chewing up your boots.
First, you don't even need to do that. Also, the boots on the sliders. I'm like, I always take a little peek in there to see how good brake shops are. Fucking gnarly, just like dirt and just grime. Original brake grease or brake part grease from when it was originally put together. I'm like, oh, they don't re-grease the sliders. That's another good sign. $1,500. You guys better take those out.
Sure.
Put it in your mouth. Like do some weird shit with it.
Fillet the caliper pins.
Unbelievable. So all kinds of shortcuts. I advised her not to go back there for these reasons. I'm like, they're import direct. It's O'Reilly's cheapest brake pads. I don't know how they got to $1,500. This is a drum brake in the rear car. So like, it's like, I don't know how you got that bill. I do not. I can go buy you a set of like Power Stop for like $250 for all four corners. It's
right. And they did drums and shoes in the back.
Apparently.
Did they just to do it?
Who knows anymore? I don't even want to get into it. They did do tires. One, it's a joke, but they put Uniroyal Tiger Paws on there. I'm sure they charged her Yokohama prices.
Right.
But anyway, besides that, I did throw in a free headlight restoration, which is a nice little touch I like to do because it just blows people away. So what I did is I restored the driver headlight. Like all the way to perfection. And I took a picture. I'm like, did you get in an accident and replace the headlight on the side? And she's like, oh my God, I've never noticed that before. I'm like, I restored both of them.
Yeah. And because of that's what I've done.
Boom. So dude, just like a good lesson, and it's I'd like to say they don't take advantage of women like that, but they certainly fucking do, dude. And it sucks. It really sucks to get in there. And like, I wasn't trying to be like condescending. But they've done some work. I saw like an outer tie rod was replaced and then they replaced the ball joint, but left like worn out control arm bushings. So it's that kind of stuff. But just, dude, that is brakes for $1,500 and then they have a noise and try to sell you calipers. Just don't go back.
It's this other unrelated thing that's now suddenly related and you have to give us more money. Not that like we have to unfuck our thing. But
and then the sound stopped right as soon as she took it back complaining. So I guarantee that's what it was. They just left a bolt loose or maybe both bolts loose. They finger tightened them and which is fucking scary. But if that caliper shifts a little bit, it can make some weird noises when the pad hits at a weird angle. Yeah. I'm guessing that's what it was. Yeah. And only when you brake. So that's what my tip off was. Cause I'm like, if they're telling her seized calipers, that'd be all the time. Everybody's, fucked up that. How to seize
or like it'll pull to one side when you brake or whatever. Like there's going to be it'll do something. And it's not like both of them are seizing simultaneously. Kick rocks. Yeah, unless you just pulled it out of the ocean or it sat in someone's garage for 7 years, like it's not a thing. Like,
I want to see the math. I want to see the math how they got that $1,500 on like $150 worth of parts on an overpriced best day ever. So
for sure, yeah. And I was like, well, here's the book time, and they calculate it with like no overlap.
Right.
It's like, well, the rotor's like 1.2 hours and the pads are 1.8 hours and the this and the that. And it's like, no, dog, like that's not how this works,
bro. That's
called overlap.
Try to upsell on new Imagine here's the worst case scenario. She goes, sure, let's get new calipers on. It sounds like I need them. And they put the bottom of the barrel. Fucking, they replaced the OEM Honda ones that are perfect, and they put bottom of the barrel O'Reilly's like off the shelf. Like, dude, horrible
counterfeit
stuff.
Cardone off of eBay. Yeah,
that's my PCP has been helping that car come back to life.
I like it.
Just sad. It's a little sad at the end of the day that still happens, but just be an informed, car person out there. Just, if something seems fishy and they keep pushing a product and they're not fixing issues and introducing new issues, be aware. Be aware what's going on.
For sure. Yeah. And just be aware of there's a lot of bad actors.
Mm-hmm.
And if something doesn't seem quite right, like, even if you're not a car person, or like, just, you probably know someone who is. So ask them. I have people call me all the time, like, hey, like, what about this? Or, hey, I had this weird insurance thing. You used to do this. Like, is this legit? Is this weird? Like, does this sound above board? And yeah, just bounce it off of somebody. And if they say, no, that does sound like there's some fuckery, then it probably is.
Yeah.
And whether it's something minor, right? Like somebody's just like kind of taking advantage of a situation, or there's something like deeply nefarious, only one way to find out. But if you just go, let's throw money at it, it works. And that's what people do. And that's why these people do it. So
it sucks. But yeah, all good now. Clean bill of health. Good car. How about you, man?
There's no Crossfire behind me anymore.
Holy shit.
And I killed that damn rat.
2 for 1. Wait,
2 for 1
with the Crossfire when it finally moved.
Yeah. No. So the rat thing is, and I'm not like Mr. Feels good about killing critters. In fact, I'm probably too squeamish for my own good. Right. I'm kind of a bleeding heart in that regard. But my wife set a trap in here, and I came on out to go work on the Crossfire, and what was a set trap the day before was now a dead rat. It's about that big, pretty good sized rat.
God damn.
That's just the body, not the tail, but just like the body. Jesus. The body was like this big. Yeah, big boy, biggins. And so then I found that I had this like emergency kit, like an earthquake kit, had like a bunch of like water and like random shit in it. And so they had in a big, huge Tupperware thing. Well, they ate a hole in the Tupperware. And made a nest in there.
Perfect.
So ate all the everything in there. So I drug it out and I opened it up, and then I see there was like a thing of toilet paper in there. And I was like, oh, it's moving independently. And so there was another huge rat, and it jumped out of the box and like ran down to the street. So
okay,
the rats are gone. Bonus.
I thought you were going to say there's like a family of babies in there, and you like were.
Well, that's what I thought it was going to be until this huge rat came leaping out of this thing. Like, yeah, like a cursed, hairy, I don't know, vermin fueled Jack in a Box.
You killed my father, now prepare to die.
Exactly. Splinter was mad.
Oh, so
shit. There's that's gone. It's still like, I don't know. It's still kind of gross over there. There's like a bunch of droppings and stuff I found that I got to clean up, and I haven't done it yet because I was just in San Diego.
Ooh.
And I drove the Crossfire down there, which is why it's not behind me anymore. So I had to go down to do some photography work for the Cars and Bids crew down in San Diego. And it was like a life flight, like on a deadline. And so as part of that, I was like, hey, Doug, you should review a Crossfire. I was like, you just reviewed a base clown shoe, just a 2.8 non-M clown shoe. So Z3M or Z3 coupe, not M. And I was like, this is kind of sort of comparable to a base non-M clown shoe, except it's got 6 gears instead of 5.
Right.
It's a little wonkier looking, which a clown shoe is pretty wonky looking to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
If this had a Mercedes-Benz logo on the front instead of a Chrysler logo on the front, this would be worth double what it is today. It'd be this lauded, oh my God, can you believe Benz did this thing? But because it's a Chrysler product with a Chrysler badge and a Chrysler grill, it's comical. So he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll get it down here. So I was like, okay, let me go do this. So I drove down there on Sunday. On Saturday, I drove down on Saturday, like after dinner. But I was like, okay, if I'm going to leave on Saturday, I need to finish this up. Okay, let me finish this on Saturday morning. Let me pick up where I left off, and let me finish the valve covers. So great. Get the valve cover done on the passenger side, button it all up, go to with the replacement valve cover that I had ordered. Look great. Valve cover's great. Cool. Put it together. go to do the same thing on the driver's side, put it all back together, except when there's 2 breather hoses that come off the valve cover for the PCV system on the driver's side. There was only one on the passenger side. On the driver's side, one of the hoses tore coming off. It was old. It was dry rotted. Crap. I'm going to get another one. The only one I can find is a whole kit of all the different breather hoses. I only needed the one, but I can get a kit at an AutoZone in Hayward. Like, fuck, all right, it's 45 minutes each way. Whatever, don't have a choice. Drove out there, got it, came back, put it all back together. Perfect. Everything looks great. Clean it up, go to start it. Click, 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 click. Battery's dead. I put a multimeter on it. It's like 10.4 volts. Okay. So I put it on a trickle charger for a couple of hours. Come back. Well, now it's at like 12.1. Still not enough. Go to start it and let's see what happens. Click, click, click. Batteries from 2018. It's time. So I put a new battery in it, right? All right, here we go. Fire it up. Runs. It's not running right. It's got to miss. Like, shit. So I leave it running. I poke around and I can hear a vacuum leak. And so what happens is those breather hoses, they go back to like almost like a triplet connector between the throttle body, like the MAF that connects to the throttle body right at the back of the motor and the back of the intake manifold.
Okay.
And I can hear it's like pulled away from where it meets on the intake manifold. So I like kind of take the MAF off, kind of reposition it, put it all back together. Fires up. Great. Now it's running great, right? Sitting there idling. I've got a BAS, what do they call it? It's like the BAS ABS warning light on there. Shit. I was like, did that fucking rat? No. Did that rat do something to this? God damn it. So I'm looking, I'm like, I don't see any rat activity in the car. Like it's clean. I'm like, shit. So I was like, you know what? Battery is dead. I wonder if it's just something dumb. Mm-hmm. So sure enough, turn the wheel all the way to the left, turn the wheel all the way to the right, turn it to center, doink, light goes off. It just was a calibration thing because the battery was out.
Yep.
Okay. Good to go. I wanted to smog it because I'm going to be selling the car, no reserve. But I just put a battery in it. So I can't go smog it real quick before I leave it because I just drove it down and then flew home. It's just sitting at the Cars and Bids office in San Diego.
Got to reset the monitors. They probably reset in your drive down if you stopped.
I would think so. I don't know. I didn't put a scanner on it. If it goes out of state, it's a moot point. But if not, like a lot of time that era bends. Sometimes you got to do 5, 10 cold start drive cycles.
That's right.
And jump through all the hoops, and you got to go 58 miles per hour.
That secondary air to come
no more. Baby. It's always secondary air on that.
Every time.
Always secondary air on that.
Big time. Same thing.
Yep. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's down there. And I just left it down there. And whenever Doug gets around to do a video with it,
I left it down there somewhere.
Exactly. I left my shirt in San Diego. But I hate to say it. It drives good. Like I'm mobbed. So here's the thing. I left it like I left my place in Martinez at 5:30 at night. Okay. Finished up an early dinner, hit the road, right? So 5:30 on a Saturday going down Highway 5. Not a lot of traffic.
That's good.
And there were some spots where I was, 130, 135 for stretches.
Shaking and baking.
And it boogies. I mean, it's just going. It's just, you would think for short of a wheelbase as it was that it would feel kind of not safe at that speed, but it felt pretty tight. The tires are pretty damn new. So that's a big contributor of how well it felt.
Right.
But it did good. And more consistently, I was more consistently going. And then this, of course, was on the Highway 5 section in Mexico.
Oh, of course.
That I was doing this.
Everyone knows that.
Because I went past San Diego for the Mexico section,
as you have
where I was averaging. I was probably doing pretty consistently at 100, and just cruising down. It was great. It was good. I got down through Mexico and to San Diego in 6 hours 15 minutes.
That is
which was a
time.
new, which is good time. That was I'd made one stop for fuel in Mexico and a bathroom break. It was less than 10 minutes, and then
Nice.
I carried on, and so that was the time. So we'll see. Crossfire, that probably will be the last time I see that car. I know. So, but yes, I still think it's a good bang for the buck, and I it'll be good to move it on to somebody that will appreciate it. But sneaky good car. I'm just going to put it that way. It's boomer-tacular, but in 6-speed manual guys, I think it's the one to get, and it's good. So
if only they had made the SRT6 in a manual. God,
you know what they really should have done? The SRT6 with a manual would have been good. If they simply just put the M113, not even the big motor, just the 4.3 out of the 4.3, which is that same exact engine, just with 2 extra cylinders.
Yep.
275 horsepower in most guys, or in the C43, it was 302, I think, horsepower.
Yep, just over 3. Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that much of a weight penalty either, if I remember correctly. So
I mean, it's probably 70 pounds or something. Probably just about the same as a supercharger and the needed equipment for the supercharged one. You would have been a V8 manual coupe. Would have sounded good. They're hyper reliable.
Yep.
Between 175 and 300 horsepower would be great. That would have been, and I guess there's not really stopping anyone from just doing that. It's not like the cars are too special or expensive. They're too valuable. You're gonna what?
Yeah.
But yeah, if I find a huge bag of money, I'm gonna do a M113K swap. God. 470 horsepower murder machine.
I just got an update from our sensor here. It says the bullshit has hit an all-time high, so we got to shut this episode down.
All right, Crossfire. The Crossfire talk is over.
Peaked and climaxed at the same time. So thanks for joining us again, guys. Good times, man. As always, hopefully we've enlightened you with some under-celebrated, unsung heroes of the sports car world from the 90s, and our PCP, which is Frank's was very positive. Mine was sad. But felt good to be wrenching. So I'm glad to be doing PCP with you guys again as my witnesses, and not to narc me out, please. But guys, again, just feel free to rate and review the show. We appreciate the feedback. We enjoy doing this. We're going to do this. Ethan, we do this off camera for free. And we do this on camera and on audio for free. So we don't do this for profit. We're not for profit. But we do appreciate your feedback.
Get that Ling Long money.
And comment too, whether it's on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. Just if you want to see a topic covered, let us know. We're down for anything as long as
down to clown.
If it fits our very highly regimented. No, just be stupid. We'll do some stupid stuff. Just come up with anything. We'll take it because we never come up with ideas anymore. I feel like 5 minutes before a show, we just
oh god, oh fuck, yeah.
What the fuck are we gonna talk about? Oh fuck.
Yeah, we both of us have been like skull crushingly busy, and I feel like that's been a theme for too long. But
it's what we do.
One day we'll be able to kind of get our scruples. I'll get my garage cleaned up, but there's like an abandoned keyboard over here and like random bullshit.
It looks good, man.
Like it looks like a mess.
Great.
So I need to clean that up. We'll clean up our act here.
No, we won't.
And please keep following along and putting up with us at APA Podcast. On Instagram is a good way to get a hold of us if you want to yell at us.
This is true.
And
so
on
YouTube, check us out there, guys.
Yes.
And send your friends over, refer them if they want to see a slightly off color, severely off color automotive podcast. Mm-hmm. But Frank, where can the good folks follow you for beautiful photography? I'm sure there's some really good Crossfire photos out there coming up soon.
There will be. I mean, busyness. I've been a bad steward of my own Instagram page. But that's at APA. We're at APA Podcast. Whoa. I am at the Photographer's Garage. So check that out there. Chadwick, where can people hunt you down?
Yeah, please do. Surviving the game, if you will. Auto Obsessive Garage for your rescues, restorations, and reviews. Check me out there. Eventually, I'll start working on cars again and documenting it. But whatever, dude. But we do appreciate it, guys. As always, we'll catch you in a week or so. Take care, and we love you. Catch you on the next one.
Mwah.